Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:30 PM and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Here.
Mr. Helmer? Ms. Konick?
Here.
Ms. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Seidel?
Here.
Ms. Spindler?
Here.
Mr. Zelinski?
Mr. Helmer let me know that he will not be here for a closed session, but he will be here later. I would entertain a motion to recess to closed session.
I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, 1C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider A, discuss approve the superintendent contract, B, the approval of closed session minutes of April 14th, and C, the employment, performance, and compensation matters pertaining to staff.
Second.
And that was all right together. Okay. And then I have a second by, the motion was by Ms. Crosby and a second was by Mr. Zelinski. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski? Ms. Konick?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Seidel?
Yes.
Ms. Spindler?
Yes.
We're moving into closed session and return to open session around 7 o'clock. It is now 7:05 PM, and we are returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise. And now, for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the City Library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the Waukesha Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. We'll begin with our oaths of office. Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley will administer the oath of office individually to all newly elected board members, and they will sign the appropriate papers. It is a distinct honor to welcome back Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice Rebecca Bradley, who has graciously joined us for many years to administer the oaths of office. Elected to the Wisconsin Supreme Court in 2016 after her 2015 appointment, Justice Bradley brings her extensive legal experience and dedication to public service to officiate today. Please join me in a warm welcome for Justice Bradley.
Thank you, President Schulz. It is, as I say every year, a tremendous honor to be here to administer the oath of office to the newly elected school board members. As I think I've told everyone in the room, but maybe there's some who haven't heard me say it, I come from a long line of teachers in my family, going back generations from preschool through university and beyond. So I always appreciate the invitation to come back to administer the oath. I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate each of you who successfully ran for re-election this year, as well as your friends and family who helped you through that process in the past. And kind of nice this year, no one had an opponent. I don't know what that's like. Answering the call to serve always takes courage and sacrifice, time away from your family, and it sometimes subjects you to personal attacks, as you may well know. School boards are dealing with pressing and controversial issues sometimes, and the decisions that you make and will continue to make have a big impact on the children in our community. Thomas Jefferson founded the University of Virginia, and he described the purpose of education as follows. And while this is from some time ago, I think it has a lot of resonance today. To give every citizen the information he needs for the transaction of his own business, to improve by reading his morals and faculties, to understand his duties to his neighbors and country, and to discharge with competence the functions confided to him by either, to know his rights, to expound the principles and structure of government and a sound spirit of legislation, which, banishing all arbitrary and unnecessary restraint on individual action, shall leave us free to do whatever does not violate the equal rights of another. To develop the reasoning faculties of our youth, enlarge their minds, cultivate their morals, and instill into them the precepts of virtue and order, and generally to form them to habits of reflection and correct action, rendering them examples of virtue to others and of happiness within themselves. These are heavy responsibilities for our teachers and for our school board members who make many of the policy decisions that govern education. As you undertake your duties, I will leave you with, I think, just one quote tonight. It comes from Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "There comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must take it because conscience tells him it is right." As you deal with the challenges and controversies that come with your position and the decisions you have to make, always have the courage of your well-formed convictions, whether they are grounded in your constitutional duties to your constituents or whether they are motivated by your heartfelt beliefs in what is best for this great community of New Berlin. I know that each one of you are grateful for the opportunity to continue serving your community, and I am also personally grateful that each of you answered the call to serve. God bless each one of you, and congratulations again on your election. With that, I'm going to go in, I think it's alphabetical order. We'll start with Mr. Helmer. All set?
Yep.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Mitchell Helmer,
I, Mitchell Helmer,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of New Berlin School Board,
of New Berlin School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, congratulations again. All set? Yes. All right. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Renee Koenig,
I, Renee Koenig,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of New Berlin School Board,
of New Berlin School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right. All set? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Janet Scholes,
I, Janet Schultz,
having been elected to the office
having been elected to the office
of New Berlin School Board,
of New Berlin School Board,
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially
and will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of said office
discharge the duties of said office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you once again for coming. Well, now we're going to move into the organization of the board. So every year, this is something we do. And prior to the meeting, I did take a poll of the members to see which offices that they are interested in, and everybody expressed that they would mind staying where they are currently. I also want to remind you that per the procedure the board approved on May 22nd of 2023, that we will by default waive our right to a closed ballot and vote for officers by showing hands, a show of hands, unless a motion is made and seconded and passed at this time to use a closed ballot. So this would be the time, if you want to do a closed ballot, I would need a motion and a second. Okay, so hearing none, all we're going to need then is for each position a nomination. And we will start the first vote with the election of president of the board. And as I had mentioned, I am willing to do it again. So do I have any nominations? And we don't need a second, just a nomination.
I nominate Janet Schultz as president of the board.
Do I have any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations then, all those in favor of myself, Janet Schultz, for president of the board, please raise your hand. And that nomination passes, and thank you. I am continuing on then as the president of the board. Has expressed interest in continuing. Do I have any nominations?
I nominate Ron Seidel as treasurer.
Do I have any other nominations? Hearing none, then all those in favor of Ron Seidel as treasurer, please raise your hand. And that nomination passes, and Mr. Seidel continues on as our treasurer. There are some other positions which I'm going to save for our next meeting, but it sounds like everybody expressed they want to stay also where they are currently, so just give you the heads up, we're probably just going to keep everybody where they were, but we'll do that at the next meeting. So then on to the privilege of the floor. Do we have any?
No.
All right. Then President's message, I just want to express gratitude and for the reelection, as well as my fellow members who ran, and really appreciate and put a lot of honor into being elected to this position again. Then we have our administrative team reports.
I'd like to actually, prior to the West update, I'd like to invite Athletic and Activities Director Cody Smith to come up and recognize a few of our female.
In just a minute. I also want to have Coach Hensel stand up real quick. I didn't tell her I was going to include her in this, but she was nominated and received the Woodland Wrestling Coach of the Year for the first time in conference history for Female Wrestling Coach of the Year. So congratulations, Coach Hensel. We're really excited about all the things that our women's wrestling team is doing and continuing to grow. You'll hear more of that, and we're very excited for the opportunity to have this sport and to see it grow and all the good things that they're doing. Thank you.
Congratulations. Why don't we have the West admin team come on up while we grab some pictures. We get the slide deck ready.
Do you want me to wait till they're done, or should I dive in? Do you want me to wait until they're done with that? Or?
Yeah, just 1 second, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Garza. And I think I have to start by introducing myself. So I haven't stood in this position yet. I'm Mark Otto. I'm the new principal at New Berlin West, and proud to be there and proud to be serving and navigating my way through my first year there. So it's been a good opportunity and certainly a learning curve for me, being a longtime assistant principal and now moving into this role. But I do appreciate the opportunity to talk about the great things that are happening at West, not only this year, but building on the foundation that was already there. So have a team with me, and we're going to kind of move quickly through because we have a lot to say in a condensed time period. So we can move on to the first slide. Is just an introduction of the, oh, I didn't know I had that. See, there we go. We're going to talk, and I have one of our literacy coaches, Addie Starrett, and then one of our English teachers, AJ Day. They're going to talk about some of the work that they're doing specific to our literacy goals. So I want to share the goal with you first, and then when they start to talk, you'll know why we're aiming and doing the things that we're doing. And so a celebration in an area of growth specific to literacy. And so the total percentage of our 9th grade students meeting the benchmark in the A reading test was 84.8% for the winter test. And that was up from 84.1 during the fall. And so that's a strong number. That means that a lot of our students are reading at a really high level and performing really well. Our area of growth is we're looking at our eighth graders. This is the second kind of part of our school goal over at West, is looking specifically at eighth graders and where are they at on that A reading test. So when last summer we got together and we're setting goals, we noticed that in the spring of 2024, as seventh graders, that cohort was just under 70% meeting the benchmark on that test. And so we tested again at the start of eighth grade and we had an increase, and then tested again in winter and we kind of fell back to where we had started from. So our school goal is still at that 73% of students in that eighth grade cohort meeting the benchmark. So we were shooting for that 3% increase from spring of 2024 to spring of 2025. And so we see the numbers fluctuate back and forth as to where they were from at the start of the year and then in the winter. And so we're hoping that the work that our team is doing now is going to get us to the goal by the end of the year, so meeting that 73%. So also we have a goal related to ACT, and I'm going to let Addie and AJ talk a little bit about that. And then we also have a student testimonial as well, which we'll show.
So we just want to highlight one way that we have been responsive to student data. Earlier in the fall, I was fortunate enough to go to some ACT training, and one aspect of that training was they laid out specific strategies and skills depending on the scores that students have. So we took pre-tests, or the pre-ACT that they took as juniors, and analyzed the data to look at what target group we wanted to have and be responsive to that.
So using data that myself and the other English 11 teacher, Frank Buffy, had collected early on in the school year, we were able to identify students who fell into or were projected to fall into the 16 to 19 range in the ACT reading section of that test. So they were close to the benchmark, but not quite meeting it. So we were trying to use strategies that Addie had referenced to push them over the hump and get to the benchmark there. So that's what we did there, and then that data that Frank and I had gathered also allowed us to identify types of passages that they struggled with, and Addie was able to give us strategies not only to address the fact that they weren't quite to the benchmark, but also, more specifically, that would help them with the passage types that they were struggling with.
So 2 strategies that we did, one was called the signpost strategy, and that was where we really taught the kids time is really a factor in the ACT reading. So being as quick as they can, we taught them to, once you finish a paragraph, write something out to the side about what it was about. So that way it's a quick reference to go back to that section, and you can quickly reference, like, okay, that paragraph was about this, because sometimes questions go specifically with certain parts of the paragraphs. The other one we did is, out of the 4 different reading passages, there's always one passage that has an A and B. So it gives the students 2 different passages that are really short that they have to read and analyze and compare and contrast. So the strategy for that one is read the passage A first, go answer the questions for passage A because they all go in order. Go read passage B, answer the questions for passage B, and then they always end with 2 or 3 questions that cover both. So we taught them how to do that, and those were the 2 that we really focused on.
So ideally, we would have loved to host more flex sessions. We really only, after we got this implemented, had time for 2. And I do have data there to show how it was successful for each student who was invited into those flex groups. So I don't know if I just click. I think I can move it here. I got it. It's going to take me a second here. You're almost there. Oh!
No.
There we go. You got it. Help me out here. Okay, so I was able to, the students are there on the left, their names are blacked out, but then you can see the 2 sessions that we had, one on 6 and one on 3-4. The first one was about that signpost strategy. The second one was about the A passage and B passage. So it automatically sorts how many they got correct and what that would equate to on the ACT reading section. Obviously, with only 2 data points, that's not as reliable. However, just having the students had the understanding that they could use these strategies on the ACT to us was valuable. And the student that I spoke with, who you can see the testimonial from there on the slides, her name is Kat, and she told us about how these strategies did benefit her on the ACT in March. I think so. Yeah, hold on. I'm not doing it.
Click on that testimonial.
Yeah, there we go. So I just asked her 2 questions. Hopefully the sound works.
I did find the lessons beneficial. I thought the best parts about them were just the practice was like repetitive. We did them every week, and so I thought that it was nice that I got to like actually look at the passages and really understand what each one was going to be like, because there were different like types of passages, and that's what I struggled with, was like finding the differences and how it related to the questions. And I used both strategies learned. I thought they were both really helpful, especially on the day of the ACT when you were really on a time crunch. I liked annotating, and that's why I actually took the ACT on paper, because I was able to read it and highlight and mark things off. And then when the passages were passage A and passage B, I thought it was nice to read over passage A and then go to the questions, answer those, and then go to passage B, and then I could actually like look at them both together to answer the questions about both of them.
And so that's the data we have. Thank you.
So the next area is math that we're going to talk about. So at the kind of over the summer, and we started looking at data, and we looked at different data sets to kind of identify what area we wanted to target. So we targeted from FastBridge the automaticity, which really measures that computational fluency. So we set a goal of 83% based off of where students were currently last spring. It would have been kind of where they were at. And what we noticed, so they were, as seventh graders are now eighth graders, were 79.4% of them were meeting the benchmark. And then when they took it in the fall, they were actually at 85.5% were meeting the benchmark, which was already above that target. But then what we saw in the winter, even though sometimes we see a drop in the winter, they went up even there as well, which was great to see. So overall, 89.1% of our seventh graders and 90.1% of our eighth graders are meeting that benchmark on the automaticity. One area that we're going to continue to focus on is the subgroup of our special education students to make sure that they're hitting that target as well. So kind of identified that area of growth on the bottom. Only 37.5% of our seventh graders with IEPs and 50% of our eighth graders are hitting that benchmark. We did see some growth in the winter, though, from fall to winter for our seventh grade students, which was good to see.
All right, so I have the opportunity here to talk to you about what our next steps are going into the 25-26 school year. First, with literacy, we are going to take all of our special ed students and analyze their specifically designed instruction to see if it makes more sense for them to be individualized with their case manager or to get their support within a reading support class like they have done this year. So we want to really pinpoint those. Secondly, we're going to analyze the 24-25 testing data to determine the areas of strength and weaknesses where we can further move forward. Really excited about the SAIL program coming this summer, and hopefully that'll help us guide down this road. With math, I can't express enough and thank enough for the addition of a math coach this year. Fran Lesniak has been wonderful. We will work further to develop her role. Specifically, she already is working at finding diagnostic assessments that we can really work down and find where kids have their deficiencies. We have a lot of those already in literacy, but very few in math. And we're going to expand the professional learning to ensure that she gets more time working one-on-one with teachers to help them in the classroom. Cody Smith.
So as we flip through, we have so much to be proud of outside of the classroom at New Berlin West. And so as we look at our co-curricular celebrations, one of the things that I'm really proud of is continuing to see an increase in our participation rate, still rebounding from the COVID years. And so we're up to 80% this year, which is a 3-year now trajectory back up, and a 3.5 GPA from our students that are involved in at least one co-curricular activity, which is super, super exciting. A new piece this year that has been building this year, but is going to continue to grow, is that we have kind of through our middle school student activities and those groups, they're working on a new space that got renovated this past summer. That was a donation that came in from a local group, and so we affectionately call it the Coop. But we have supplies there that we've been hosting, so school supplies, basic needs, some of those pieces that we've been raising for. And now we're starting to partner both our student services staff at our building here across town at Ike, now expanding. And so I've been working with the 2 elementary social workers to be able to make sure that we have a really nice resource hub for any students in need. So that program is really just kind of getting kicked off this year and is really going to grow, and we're very excited. Through the work and the things that have come to this group and the new club applications that you guys have already voted on this year, we're seeing a lot of success within our Global Scholars Program, and their portfolios are due here shortly. So we'll have the results on that soon, and then the work that our Education Rising group is doing. As we mentioned some of our curricular programming, our academic decathlon team will be here in a couple weeks to be recognized. They're coming off a back-to-back state championship and their second national qualification. DECA had 6 international qualifiers that are we're in Orlando this weekend, including our advisor, Meg Gardner, receiving the Red Apple Award from DECA. Our Best Buddies group, I'm sure you saw, was featured on Fox 6 for the work that they're doing to bring inclusion to the building. Educators Rising that I mentioned, in their first year of really competing, has 6 state finalists and 3 national qualifiers, and that program's continuing to grow. And our robotics team just finished a strong season where they've earned the Rising All-Star Award for all the work that they've put in, the time that those students spend building and competing. We have so much to be proud of. Our athletes are seeing success at the conference level, our teams are, but the things that we're really excited about is just continuing to push the envelope. So hopefully you saw, we were able to land a helicopter on the football field for a football game to deliver the game ball, which was really exciting. And then for the first time this year, we hosted a wrestling match in the Performing Arts Center, a little theater throwdown action there. And so we're continuing to push the envelope and find meaningful ways and to build experiences for our students outside the classroom. And since the last time that we met, as we continue to see, one of the things that I'm most proud of is the history being made. For the first time in New Berlin West school history, our women's cross-country team qualified as a team for the state competition. And then women's wrestling, as I mentioned, is in year 3 of that program. But this is the first year that the WI has hosted regional and sectional championships. And so we brought home a team regional and sectional championship for the first time in school and WI history. We've had state individual place winners in dance, wrestling, tennis. Marching band had a successful season in track and field coming off last spring, which included a state record. So our 4x2 team is now state record holders, and individual state qualifiers as well with our boys volleyball to follow up on the regional and sectional championships that we've had. So much going on at New Berlin West in and outside the classroom, and so much to be proud of. It's really been a great year, and we're going to continue to build forward on that.
Thank you, Cody. That'll take us to the end, and I know you had a chance to peruse these prior, but is there any questions that you have or things that you would like to know about what's going on at West, and we can do our best to answer, or I can parlay into one of my teams if I don't know the answer? All right.
Keep up the good work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do you want to do the superintendent update next, or student?
We'll go ahead, Claire, go ahead. We'll start with yours, and then we'll come back to me.
All right. As the 2025 school year is nearing its final weeks, the students are working hard academically and athletically. AP exam testing begins May 5th, 2025. Students in these classes are wrapping up their final units and studying hard for their upcoming exams. April 7th to 11th was Assistant Principal Week. So from all Eisenhower students, we want to thank Mr. Gerlach and Mrs. Springer for all that they do for the school. Eisenhower is amazing with both of them in it. Students from the Milwaukee Spanish Immersion School are coming to Eisenhower soon to meet their Spanish student pen pals. They have been writing letters all year and now get to meet each other soon. Our Eisenhower clubs have been busy with many events and activities to get all students involved. Student Union is hosting a blood drive April 30th. National Honor Society is in their spring season, with seniors concluding all of their wonderful senior projects. The NHS induction for the 2026 school year was April 16th. Congratulations to all the new members. April 22nd was Earth Day, and Ike Earth Club hosted a picnic to appreciate the beautiful nature around us. Spring seasons are underway, and our athletics are doing great. Ike softball hosted their first home game April 24th against Cudahy and took on Pewaukee tonight. I'm not sure the score of that game, but hopefully they won. Ike baseball is having a lot of success with wins against Wisconsin Lutheran, Badger, and West Allis Central. This week, our Lions take on Pius and Shorewood. Girls soccer recently won against Pius and takes on West Dallas Central this Wednesday. To conclude, as this is my last in-person school board update, I want to give a special thank you to the New Berlin School Board for the last 2 years and for giving me this opportunity my senior, junior, and senior year. It has been a joy sharing all the accomplishments of New Berlin Eisenhower. Thank you.
We will be sure to have Claire back, maybe not to give an update, but to make sure that we recognize you for the work that you put in on behalf of being the Eisenhower Board Student Rep. I do have one update that I wanted to share. It comes on the heels of the update I provided to the board at the last meeting. We continue to be bounced around between the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education, and the Wisconsin State Department of Public Instruction. And there was a request put out by the U.S. Department of Ed, probably within the last 4 weeks, asking states to sign off on a compliance certification for Title VI. What that would mean was that because of the executive orders that the new president put in place about eliminating DEI initiatives, in order to restate or to receive funding, that's what the certification request was for. The DPI had been sending messages to superintendents and school districts throughout the state, suggesting that districts did not have to sign off on that, and that the Department of Public Instruction was not going to sign off on that until they got more details. The deadline was last week, Thursday. In consulting with other school districts and in consulting with the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, I did feel that we needed to sign off, regardless of what the state was going to be doing. In essence, Wisconsin is a local controlled state, and based on some of the information that I had received, I felt that it was prudent that we sign off on that certification that was requested by the U.S. Department of Ed. I did consult with legal counsel on that, and again, we did sign off, and so we believe that we are in compliance with the expectation from the federal government. Because I'm not going to play games with federal funding. It was requested to sign off by last Thursday. In order to be in compliance, I signed off on behalf of the school district to be in compliance, because I do not want to be in a position where we are losing federal funds because of the political games that are being played from the state level and our Department of Public Instruction. One of the things that the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has asked school districts throughout the state of Wisconsin is if we are interested in joining a coalition. Will does have contacts at the federal level, because when we reach out to the State Department, they're giving us kind of these contrived, and again, we're not really sure what to believe. And so I did express interest to Will that we are interested in being a part of that coalition so that we can get direct communication from the contacts at the U.S. Department of Ed, so that we are literally hearing it directly from them and not getting kind of a mixed message because, again, of the political nature that we are in at this time. In the vein of, again, making sure that we get the federal dollars that we are expected to receive. So with that, I will certainly keep the board posted. Janet was copied in on not only the certification that we sent to the Department of Education, or the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights, and then I did respond to Will, letting them know that we would be happy to be a part of that coalition to again, just make sure we're staying on top of things and doing things that we should be doing in order to ensure that we get the funds that we have received in the past. Any comments, questions, or concerns related to that?
I know we had discussed possibly doing a resolution to having some, official backing of the board. And that's something I'm wondering if the board members here are interested in doing. Yes?
I guess I have a question. As being part of that coalition, is that like Did it cost us anything, or is it just being a partner with them?
It would be being a partner with them, and I do know other districts that are already interested in joining that coalition too.
Okay, but it wouldn't be like a membership dues or anything? would it?
Nothing like that at this time, no. And I'm sure we'll learn more when we do go to the school board seminar, and boy, it's like in a week
Yeah, next
or so. And I
this
think
Friday.
Matt and Janet are scheduled to attend on behalf of the board, and we'll have a small team of administrators there too.
I support something. I don't know what we have to do, if we have to like vote on something and like I don't want to be too specific, but I also don't want to give just broad latitude that we can.
Exactly, because that's what I was thinking. It's like, you know, we've informally told Joe, you know, it's okay to join this, but I was thinking maybe something official, so it's in agreement, like we actually have something we voted on, and so that would be like a resolution.
Just to join Will?
Yeah,
Or to
just
join the
to
group?
say we're joining the coalition, and if you want to put any limits on it as to what our participation would be, or if it would just be very general that we agree we're going to join this.
I think we vote to agree to join it.
Join it.
But then I think anything that we do after that should probably be voted on individually.
Sure, that sounds like a good, me, at least.
Does that work for you? Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay, okay.
So then Janet will bring a draft resolution to the next meeting, and the board can do as they so choose.
All right,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Then we have some district reports, the incident report, suspension report, enrollment report, and donations report. I know it's a long donations report this time, so I don't know if you want to just shorten it by just giving the name of the donor and how much. That would be fine.
I can do that.
Okay.
So the first one was from Eisenhower, New Berlin, Eisenhower Baseball Boosters, in the amount to pay for baseball pants in the amount of $2,070. Next one was also for Eisenhower Soccer Booster Club, pay for team parka coats for girls soccer in the amount of $3,105. Next one was for New Berlin Eisenhower Football Booster Club to pay for Guardian caps for the football team in the amount of $4,000. The next one is, Yiling Sai Lift for New Berlin West to support robotics at New Berlin West in the amount of $300. The next one was also for New Berlin West, Kirian Damuradan to support robotics at New Berlin West in the amount of $300. Next one was also for New Berlin West to Sproul Trucking Incorporated to support Trap Club at New Berlin West in the amount of $1,500. Next one is for New Berlin West, Piper Power to support the Trap Club at New Berlin West in the amount of $500. The next one is for New Berlin West, VJ's Construction Services to support the Trap Club at New Berlin West in the amount of $500. The next one is for New Berlin West, Wisconsin State Golf Association Foundation to support boys golf in the amount of $500. Next one was for New Berlin West, Watlow Electric Manufacturing Company to support robotics at New Berlin West, the amount of $1,000. Next one was for Ronald Reagan Home and School, pay for the buses for the third grade field trip in the amount of $500. Next one was for New Berlin West, Modern Woodmen of America to support youth POMs at New Berlin West in the amount of $1,000. Next one was for New Berlin West, the CAF America and Cyber Grants Team to support robotics at New Berlin West in the amount of $500. Next one was for New Berlin West, American Transmission Company, support robotics at New Berlin West in the amount of $250. Next one was for Orchard Lane PFC, pay for buses for the 6th grade field trip to the state capitol in the amount of $859.20. Next one was for Orchard Lane PFC, support teachers with various purchases with awarded grant money in the amount of $921.77. Next one was for Orchard Lane PFC, pay for buses for the 4th grade field trip and Mr. Winder's PFC grant in the amount of $1,817.66. The next one was for Orchard Lane PFC, support Orchard Lane with the payments for Journey Arts, Scholastic News, teacher grants, and co-curriculars in the amount of $4,577.53. Next one was for Eisenhower International Academy of Chess LLC, support Eisenhower with a chess club donation for the tournament in the amount of $381. Next one was for Eisenhower Stephen J. Wieslowski, support Eisenhower with a boys golf donation amount of $1,000. Next one was for Eisenhower, New Berlin Eisenhower baseball boosters, purchase rubber mounds for the JV baseball field in the amount of $5,349. Lastly, we have Elmwood Home and School to support co-curricular funding in the amount of $7,000, bringing our total donations to $37,791. Thank you so much to all of our generous donors, all of them. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes the notice, the approval of minutes of April 14th, and the financial reports. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration? Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and second by Ms. Crosby to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to our regular agenda. We have a second read of policy 5200.01, full-time student. It didn't say it was an action item, but I'm assuming it is because it's a second read. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
So I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Seidel to approve the policy revision of 5200.01, full-time student. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then raise your right hand. Motion passes. We have an item from closed session to vote on. Do I have a motion?
I move to improve the employment services report as presented.
I have a motion by Ms. Spindler and a second by Ms. Crosby to approve the employment services report as presented. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. We have some future meetings and dates. We have board meetings generally held the second and fourth Mondays beginning at 7 in conference room E, which is here. It's May 12th is the next one, then May 27th, which is a Tuesday due to it being Memorial Day, the prior day, and then June 9th. Other important dates, May 26th is Memorial Day. June 6th is the last day of school, and June 6th is also the West graduation, and June 7th then is the Eisenhower graduation. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I have a motion by Mr. Helmer and a second by Mr. Seidel to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. This meeting is